I'm a female, and this happened during spring break of 2011. At the time, I lived in New Jersey, and I would often drive out to the Pine Barrens on Saturdays and jog along a trail that a friend of mine showed me. I don't mean to be vague, but for the life of me I can't remember the name of this trail, but I do remember that it was located in South Jersey, and from what I understand there's lots of trails that run through that area. During this time, I was going through some health problems, and I was really focused on losing weight. During my jogs, I would often listen to my headphones. I had a playlist on my iPod that would help me get motivated. After parking my car, I set off on foot. I usually saw one or two other backpackers or joggers traversing the trail, but today, there was no one. About 30 minutes after I started, I got this feeling that I was being watched. I tried my best to brush it off as I continued down the path. This feeling became more and more prevalent. It felt like the forest itself was closing in on me. It got to the point where I stopped jogging and took out my headphones and listened carefully. I heard several frantic footsteps coming from behind the surrounding trees. At this point, I was becoming a bit unnerved, but I figured that it could be some kids just messing around. I called out, asking if anyone was there, but got no response. I should mention that on this particular trail, about a half a mile from its starting point, your cell phone was all but useless. After a minute or two of just standing there, I decided that it was time to cut this jog short. As soon as I turned around, I heard a rustling sound from behind me. I turned, and what I saw utterly horrified me. A masked man wearing a pair of boxers emerged from a bush that was alongside the trail. I know that may sound comical to some of you, but I assure you it was not. The mask this person was wearing is kind of hard to describe. It looked like an animal head of some kind, and just sort of hung off this guy's head, like it was several sizes too big for him. The most disturbing part of all was this half-naked maniac was covered in what looked like blood. It was like I was involuntarily thrusted into the plot of a horror movie. I took off running down the trail. As I did, I heard laughter and shouting coming from several directions behind me. I thankfully found my way back to the car in one piece. I drove out of there like a bat out of hell. I pulled over at the nearest gas station and immediately called the police. It took them almost an hour and a half to get out there, and he informed me that he would call in more cops and comb the area. He told me that someone from his department would eventually follow up with me. The next morning, I got a phone call from the police. They, of course, didn't find anyone matching the description I gave. However, they did find the skinned carcass of a deer not far from where I had encountered the man. I don't have confirmation on this, but thinking back to how strange that mask looked, I have to ask a question. Was that man wearing fresh deer skin?